Hey YouTube, it's Alik here. Welcome to my channel. This is Tech Roulette. I'm glad you stopped by. If you checked out my last episode, I gave some tips to those who are planning on building their first PC as well as those who are looking to upgrade. This video is going to be focused on my dream PC, what I built as of, I'd say about a month ago, and I love it. I figured I'd make a video, kind of talk about pros and cons and things I've learned, so let's check it out. So going over my specs, let's start with the CPU. I have a i7-9700K. It's a 8-core CPU. I love it so far. I had the i5-9600K, but I was afraid of multitasking. I just kind of wanted those 2 extra cores just for the future. I do wish they had hyper-threading. I know 10th gen they brought that back, but I'm really happy with the CPU. It blazes through everything I need on a day-to-day basis, so I really don't have any complaints. Next, let's talk about RAM. I have 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. I have the Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB, and they're fantastic. I don't have any complaints. 32 gigs is definitely overkill for most people. I will put that out there. However, I do work in IT. I do like to play around with VMs, and I do like to just tinker and mess with things. So for me, I wanted to make sure I had some wiggle room for the future, for the near future. And as I said in the last video, make sure when you're building your PC, try to think about what you would like to do in the next year. I don't say go too far out, but just make sure your computer can last at least for a good amount of time for what you're into. My graphics card, I have a RTX 2070 Super, and I love it. It's fantastic. I know some people do some 1440p gaming on it, 4K and ultra settings. I'm sorry, not 4K and ultra settings, but 1440p maybe, and 1080p for sure. I have a high refresh rate monitor, so I don't really do high resolutions. I don't do 1440p or 4K because my monitor is 1080p, but it's 144 Hz. I prefer the higher frame rates, especially since I do love playing shooters and games like that, so it works out for me. Some people may prefer higher resolutions, or you might have a nicer monitor where you can afford to do both. And I also apologize ahead of time if you hear any birds chirping. I knew it would happen, but it's so nice, guys. Just, we gotta get outside sometimes. I have 2 terabytes of NVMe storage. I use that for my OS and games I play frequently. So if there's a game that I'm downloading and I'm sure I'm gonna be into it for at least 5-6 hours or more, I'll put that on my fast SSD. Then I also have 8 terabytes of hard drive storage with a WD black drive and WD red drive, and it's good. Like, I use it for backups as well as I put those games on there that I don't play frequently. Yeah, the load times can be brutal. That's why I have 2 terabytes of solid state for the games I do play frequently, but it does the job and I feel comfortable enough to be able to back up. And I also have room for, I would say, at least 4 more drives. So in the future I do plan on adding more drives, probably doing a raid or something like that, just for redundancy and yeah, just tinkering. I'm new to Noctua. To be honest, I've never had a Noctua fan, but now that I have them, I don't want any other fan in my computer ever again. Like, I can tell night and day. These fans are so powerful. I have 3 Noctua 812 fans, and those are my intake fans in front of my case, and they blow so much cold air into the computer. It's great. I have no complaints. I also do have a few Corsairs. I have 8 fans in my computer, in my desktop total, which is kind of crazy, but I'm a cooling freak. For me, I'd rather have all my parts stay cool and, last longer than something crazy like, a fire, something like that. So I get paranoid, so I made sure I put the most amount of fans my case could take. I'm not saying you guys have to do that. That's just a personal preference, but I do have 3 intake fans in the front. My case is cool enough to come with 2 fans that I can add on the bottom to blow cooler air to the GPU. I have a fan on the rear, and then I have 2 fans on the top blowing air through the radiator. So I have a lot of cooling going on. My computer stays super cool, and it makes me happy. So as for motherboard, I have a Gigabyte Z390 Aorus Pro Wi-Fi. I know it's a mouthful. A lot of these names are a mouthful. That's why I got my tablet over here, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I tried to memorize all these parts. I just didn't have time for all that, so I had to write them down. I got the Wi-Fi model because I didn't know if I was going to be moving my gaming PC around the house or putting it somewhere else, and I'm glad I did, because I actually did end up moving it. So right now it's not hardwired. I know that's ideal, but I've had no issues with my current Netgear Orbi setup, so fingers crossed it stays that way. But if not, I may have to relocate or get my cable or internet routed to a different room so I can enjoy being hardwired again. I don't really have too many recommendations with power supplies, just because if it works well and it's safe. I have the Corsair CX750M. It's great. I think I run about 500 watts or so, and this is rated for 750 watts, so I do have a good amount of headroom. Make sure when you are building a PC, you leave some headroom. There are a few sites, just Google it, where you can kind of get an estimation of how much power your components use. I've done enough talking now. Let's go check this PC out, and then we're going to wrap the video up. Welcome to my studio, guys. This is just a little sneak peek of what I got going on. In the first video, I did explain that when you're building your PC, you need to build it and think about the use cases you would be using the PC for. In my case, I knew I would like to do some gaming, but as well as gaming, I want to do some podcasts, some streaming, and things of that nature. So I had to set this up and cater it for myself. I have two monitors here. I have a LG and a Asus. The Asus is a 144Hz 1080p display, and that's what I primarily use for gaming. Here on the side, I have this LG monitor that I have in portrait mode, and I kind of put my Discord and my Twitch statistics and OBS and stuff like that on the second monitor, and it works perfectly for me. It kind of hangs off the edge of my desk just because of room, but I like that it's just floating on the edge of the desk, and I can kind of pull it closer to me when I'm just trying to look at statistics and stuff like that. I was born a console gamer, guys. I use a controller. Some games I'll try to use keyboard and mouse for, but for the most part, I like to use my Xbox Elite 2 controller. This is my favorite controller of all time. It's amazing. I can change all the pieces here. I can customize everything. I got custom buttons. It's got a really nice weight to it. So when I'm gaming, this is usually my controller of choice. Keyboard and mouse is important, of course, to a degree for me. I got a nice Razer keyboard, and I have the Logitech G502 mouse. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. When I do game with it, I love it. I prefer to use the controller, so I'm not going to get too in depth with the keyboard and mouse. Also, quick thing to note, sound is super important when you guys are gaming. I didn't really talk about that before. You want to invest in some decent speakers if you can. However, I don't really think speakers are a big deal. I really think headphones are more important because they're more practical. You know, in any given situation, you can always use headphones versus maybe a situation where you can't really blast your speakers or really enjoy and immerse yourself in your game. So I got some Astro A50s, and I love these. I love them. The microphone quality is not the greatest, but I got Dolby Atmos wireless surround sound, and it's amazing. The games that do work with it, Gears of War 5 does come to mind. There are plenty of other games that do support it. However, I really recommend this. Is super light. The microphone's not terrible, especially like if you're just playing online with people. It's perfectly fine. They're super comfortable. I would even argue these are probably the most comfortable pair of headphones I ever wore. So I just want to show this, throw this little plug in there. They're not sponsoring this or anything, but get some good gaming headphones, guys. Get some good gaming headphones. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm going to end this video with some gameplay footage. I'll also put my Twitch information down. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Enjoy some footage.
Fingers down my spine. Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers down my spine? Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers down my spine? Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your
Knocked down! Thanks for the assist, Jack.
Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers